Good evening. Tonight I'm going to do a little follow-up to the video I did the other night, maybe a week or two ago, about the Boss Katana amp. And the video was entitled, Why I'm Returning My Boss Katana Amp. I made another video about why I thought tube amps were better than modeling amps or digital amps. Had a little feedback on the video. That's great. I appreciate that. But I wanted to say a little bit about that video and kind of double down on some of the things I said and maybe just clarify some things about the Boss Katana amp. First of all, I was not trying to be critical of the Boss Katana amp. That's an excellent amp. I know a bunch of people that love that amp, and I see people on YouTube that are like some of the greatest musicians on YouTube, and there's some awesome musicians on YouTube, and they love that amp and use it all the time. They use it for gigs. So I am not criticizing the amp. I was not intending to criticize the amp. But if you look at that video, you will see that I did say that I was going to return the amp, and I did return the amp. That's one reason I don't have a picture of it to show you anymore. And you know, I guess my take, some of the comments I got on my website were to the effect of, you know, I didn't know what I was doing. I was lazy. I didn't have it set right. I had bad cables. All that might be true, you know, especially the part about being lazy. But you know what? I've been playing guitar for 48 years. You know, I'm not that young. And if you stick a guitar in my hands, I usually know what I'm doing. You know, I've been playing a long time. And I feel the same way about amps. I'm not buying an amp to please anybody else. I'm buying it for me. And when I buy an amp, I expect it to sound good right away, and I don't want it to be complicated. That's just me, you know, it's my money, and I want an amp that I can relax with and play. And I did not find that to be the case for me. I'm not talking about whether it's a good amp for you or whether I should go to college and take a lesson in the Boss Katana amp to learn how to use it properly. I'm talking about me, my needs as a consumer and as a guitar player of almost 50 years, what I need, what I want with an amp. And I returned the Boss Katana amp, and I bought the Supro Blues King 8, which is a nice little amp, and I'm pretty pleased. And some of the comments again on the video were that, you know, the Supro wasn't any good, and I bought a bad amp. And you know, I don't even know if you know what, it was $400. If I play every night, usually before I go to bed. If it were, and I'm not using it in a gig, I do play gigs when the coronavirus. I usually play, you know, normally, you know, once a week, even for years I have, or even twice a week a lot of times. I'm not using it in a gig, so I just play it at home. And if it breaks after a couple years, I'll get another one, you know. The other thing about that Boss Katana amp, I do think it was complicated for me, and I'm sure a lot of people think, well, I think some of the comments were that I make boomers look bad. I guess I'm a boomer now. I'm a young boomer, by the way, but I'm a boomer. I guess I relate to the boomer culture. But let me tell you something. Right, I don't have a picture of the amp, but up there in the area around delay, reverb, phase shifter, there are several buttons. They're concentric, so you have like one part of the knob has a lower part that you turn, and then there's an upper part. And then you've also got these little buttons to push with color-coded lights. So when the light's yellow, you're getting phase and reverb. When the light's green, you're getting delay and reverb. And when the light's red, you're getting reverb and delay. And there are several different volume controls, all contained within a little unit. That to me is a symptom of complexity. They're trying to add too much into a little compact area of the amp. And I've got a nice pedal board. And I like I said, I know people that use it fine. I'm sure it works great. But to me, that was too much sugar for $1. And I couldn't, and one night I had it sounding pretty good. And the next night I came home, I turned it on, it sounded horrible, and I couldn't get it to sound right. And it is what it is, you know. I'm sure it's my fault. You go ahead and, you know, say on YouTube, you know, go into the comments, say I'm an idiot or something. I'm not a bad musician, by the way. So, you know, I know what I'm doing when it comes to music. So and I know how to use an amp. You know, I've used amps for a long time, and I don't like a complicated amp. And those amps, when they do so much and it's all kind of contained within a few little buttons, to me that's complexity, and I don't like complexity. And you know, life gets complicated enough. Another thing I wanted to say about that amp, as I was trying to make it work right, I actually came across the directions, and when all else fails, there was like you hold one of those little buttons down for X amount of time, and then it blinks, and then it goes back to factory default. And to me, anytime you have like a button that's kind of a fail-safe button to set you back to factory default, like an iPhone, that to me is kind of like a Control-Alt-Delete command, or a, you know, that tells you right there. It's possible to like get so many different commands. You know, you play with all these knobs, and pretty soon you've had so many. The computer in there's got so many different digital commands going, it doesn't know what's going on. And if it gets too bad, why don't you just push this button and set it back to what like it is in the factory? I actually have keyboards that do that. You know, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but to me that's a sign that it is more complicated than I like. So the Supro, you watch that Supro Blues King 8 video I made, it's got 3 buttons. And I like that. And I think it sounds great. You can see it's got a input there, and this cord, it sits right by my chair. I'm like Archie Bunker. I've got my chair, and that cord is in there all the time. When I come home, I just grab a guitar out of the case, I turn it on over there with that simple on switch and a standby switch. Easy enough. And I think it's well made. It was only $400, and it's little, and it's not so loud that it's a tube amp. It's not so loud I can't play it in my house. And it sounded good immediately. I mean, it sounded good as soon as I put it on. So it is what it is. And so I'm going to kind of double down on some of those comments, but I did not mean to. That wasn't sort of a knock on the the Boss Katana amp. I had a Roland Cube for years that I really liked, which is kind of similar. I think the Roland Cube was sort of the predecessor of the Boss Katana. But like I said, I'm just telling you my experience. But I bet I speak for probably a lot of people that are good guitar players. My experience was I brought it home and you know, it sounded okay. And then, you know, I'd turn it off and it would sound different the next time I turned it on, or I'd mess with it a little bit and it would sound way different. You know, little adjustments in those knobs would make it sound really radically different. And you know, I'm an old school guitarist. You know, and I've got a nice pedal board. I mean, I know how to add some delay and reverb, and you know, I like good distortion, nice creamy, rich distortion. I don't need it to be complicated. You know, I want to focus on the guitar, not gear. And you know, so many people on YouTube, they like have the, you know, the fainting spell. They need a fainting couch if the mids are a little not, you know. But most of the time, most people can't hear the difference. There is such a thing as a good tone, and you do want a good tone, but it's, you know, the focus should be on playing the guitar, you know. And I think that doesn't have anything to do with Boss Katana. That's just about anything. Anytime your focus is on technology, it's a negative as far as I'm concerned. Technology is the servant of music. It is not an end in and of itself. So you know, like I said, I know it's me. You wanna go on the comments and say I'm an idiot or I'm lazy, I should have learned how to work it right or something. That is fine, but because you're probably right. But it was my money, and I'm a guitarist, and you know, and I went and got an amp that I liked, and I brought it home and I sat and played, and I'm happy. End of the story, problem solved. Everybody should be happy, because that's what it is. And so good night. God bless you. Rock on.